Okay guys, welcome back to another video, and I'm really excited because I waited a long time to publish this video. So we have a new camera here, a new release, top secret. It looks like could be a Leica camera. So if you've never seen how a Leica box opens, this is how it opens. Whoa! How can I do this without you seeing the camera? Maybe we just take this box out here. Okay, let's open the box. Ooh. Whoa, this is amazing. Okay, jokes aside, let's see the camera. Oh yeah, it's the Leica Q2 Mini. I know what you think. You probably thought, oh, this must be the Leica M11, but no, Leica kept this very quiet, and I'm so glad they did this because you guys know I love small cameras. So where do I begin? First of all, we have the same 1.7 Summilux lens. It has the same nice aperture ring. You can put it into auto mode. It has no viewfinder though, but the screen is nice, and yeah, I've been using this for a few weeks already, and it has been a very good performer. Maybe let's compare it to my Leica Q2. Man, this is hilarious. Look at this, guys. This is my Q2 and this is the Q2 Mini. Look at this. Oh yeah, I have the Leica Q2. It's pretty nice. And the craziest thing, guys, is that this is still full frame. I don't know how they managed to put a full frame sensor in this tiny body, but they told me that this is the same sensor as the Leica M10. So it's like 24 megapixels. Which is crazy because the M10 sensor is very good. It has a very good low light performance. But the Q2 has 47 megapixels, obviously. And they look so similar. Look at this lens here, Leica 1.7 Summilux. And here on the front, you see the aperture ring is also similar. We don't have a distance scale on this lens, but it's not really made for manual focusing. This is more like a point and shoot version of the Q2. Which is already kind of a expensive, luxurious point and shoot. But let's keep the nerd talk for later. First of all, I want to show you some pictures I took with this little beast over the past few days and weeks. And we will also go outside and look at the autofocusing speed and do some tests and maybe some comparisons against its father, the Q2, the 47 megapixel Q2. But yeah, I'm excited and I'm a little scared that this might replace my GR. Let's see. Okay, see you later. Wait, you really think this is a Leica Q2 Mini? Obviously, this is not the Leica Q2 Mini. This is actually a Panasonic camera. It's the GM1 Micro Four Thirds. But you saw it in the pictures. I think in combination with this lens, it has a similar look to the Leica Q. Obviously it's not full frame. Maybe I should tell you the backstory of how I got this camera. So I was just watching random stuff on YouTube, and then this guy, I think his name is Mitchell, he's a photojournalist or travel photographer, and I think he was a Lumix ambassador, and then he talked about his lenses, and then this lens showed up. This is the Panasonic Leica 50mm 1.7 Summilux. So it is a lens made by Leica for Panasonic. And when I saw it, I thought, hey, wait a minute, this looks like the Leica Q lens. And then I got more interested in the Micro Four Thirds system because of that lens. My gear acquisition syndrome was so bad that I even bought another Panasonic camera, the GX80 or GX85. And that is a fantastic camera for stills and also video. It shoots beautiful, stable 4K video. The body and the buttons feel good. But then I was also curious if the newer GX9 with its 20 megapixel sensor and improved color science would be any better, because I wasn't very happy with the skin tones of the GX80. So I sold the GX80 and bought the GX9 for double the cost. But at the end it was just a more expensive GX80. It didn't really offer me that much more. It had slightly better colors, but I still preferred the color output of the GM1. So I sold the GX9 again. Hey, don't judge me. MPB did a holiday sale and it was just hard to resist, and it's all over now and I'm going to stick with this one for now. Okay, let's go back to City Samuel and talk a little bit more about this lens. It's also not the 28 equivalent, it's more like a 30mm equivalent. And because I was so frustrated with the Q being wider than 28, I thought, oh, this is a very cool lens, I should try it out. And then I got this idea, I should make a mini Q. And I looked online, what are the options for small Micro Four Thirds cameras. And then this came up, the GM1. And there's another camera, it's called the GM5, which has a viewfinder, is a little bit taller. And that would look even closer to the Q2, just the profile. But this is the next best option. And honestly, I bought it just as a joke. So I paid 350 or 400 for the lens, which is expensive for just to make a little joke on YouTube. But the camera was just 120 euro, including a kit lens. And then my intention was to buy it, show it to you as a joke, and then sell it again. But what ended up happening is I enjoyed this setup so much that this became my little family documentation camera, because the look, the colors are very beautiful. Most of the photos I showed you are unedited JPEGs. And yeah, it's just 16 megapixels, but for family photos, this is more than enough. And the autofocus is much faster than the Q2. Also the GR is slower than this camera because Micro Four Thirds, they are just faster focusing cameras. So I'm actually very impressed, and I tried a little street photography. It's a little, when you look at the back here, it's very cramped, and this little wheel is a little flimsy. But once you get used to it, yeah, it's actually a very enjoyable experience. And I like the files. I don't bother with the raw files. And my workflow with the GM1 is that I take photos of my family, and then whenever I want to share them with my other family members, I just take the SD card out, put it into my iPad, and then on the iPad the photos look fine, they look beautiful. Sometimes I correct the contrast, but then I just send them to my family, and yeah. I'm also surprised how this 1.7, so with Micro Four Thirds, I learned that you have to double the value. So on full frame equivalent would be a 3.2. It doesn't give you the depth of field of a 1.7 lens, but it is still gathering light as a 1.7 lens. So you can take pictures, brighter pictures than, for example, my Ricoh GR. The Ricoh GR has a 2.8 aperture lens. And just look at the size here. Okay, I have a grip attached here, but this camera is even smaller. And did I even mention that this is an interchangeable camera system? There are a bunch of small lenses for it. I once bought a zoom lens, a 70-200 equivalent, and it was just like this tall, which is crazy. Let's take a closer look at the GM1, and I show you how I set it up and how you use this camera. So here we have the on and off switch, very easy. We have a mode dial here. I usually use aperture priority and then just change the aperture on the lens. Here we can switch between AF modes. So this would be manual focusing and AFC. I usually use AFS. And we have one function button on the top that I set up to be my ISO button, so I can change my ISO real quick. The screen on the GM1 usually looks like this, very cluttered, but I use this setting, so I can see my settings whenever I'm pressing my shutter button. We have these shortcuts here. Oh yeah, the screen is a touch screen, which is very useful when you play back photos. You can double tap to zoom in or swipe and pinch to zoom. And then we have this control wheel here, as we know from the GR3, but this one is a little flimsier. It's very sensitive. You have to be very careful not to accidentally press a button. So you either need to use your fingernails to turn it or just get used to it. And it's not, once you get used to it, it's not that hard. And I set it up to be my exposure compensation. Oh, now you saw I just pressed white balance accidentally. And when you're in shutter priority, for example, you can press up to switch between shutter priority and shutter speed. So this is how you use the camera. It's a little flimsy, so that's why I'm only using aperture priority. One of my favorite features is it has a pop-up flash. So similar as the first GR1 or GR2, this one has a pop-up flash.
And you can also tilt it up if you want to bounce flash against the ceiling. And I use this flash a lot when I'm at events or when it's dark, and it creates this nice snapshot aesthetic. Yeah, it's very useful, and I never had to compensate. The flash output was always on point. The menu layout is also very simple. Here you can change your photo style. I usually use standard, but there aren't any film simulations or something like that. This camera shoots 4:3 because it's micro four thirds, of course, but you can also shoot 3:2, of course. Other than that, there's not much else here. We have some connections for charging batteries. We have here the battery compartment, SD card slot. Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, this is not a review. I just wanted to show this camera because I really enjoy it, and yeah. But you might be wondering what I think about the GR1 compared to this Panasonic GM1, because the GR and the GR2, they both have the 16 megapixel sensor. They're also a little older cameras, but still very popular. And this is cheaper than this setup. I think this you can get around $300 maybe if you're lucky, in good condition. And this here, with the lens and the body, you're looking at 500 or 600 almost. So considering the price, I would say this GR is probably the better option. But from my perspective, if I'm really honest with you guys, for street photography, I would prefer this camera because of the snap focus. It's just faster, more fun to use on the street. But for like daily life and just snap shooting, I think I would prefer the GM1. And even if I have to pay more for this setup, I enjoy this much more than this. Now, I'm not talking about my GR3, that is on a different league because it's high resolution, better low light performance. But they're both very good cameras, and yeah, this is not as compact anymore once you put on the lens. So the GR still wins in terms of compactness, but fun factor and yeah, just fun using the camera, I think the GM1 and this lens win for me because of the aperture ring and the snappiness of the autofocus and the 1.7 aperture. Panasonic is not bad. I'm actually surprised how much I like the colors. By the way, the colors, the GM1 has the nicest colors. I tried the GX80, the GX9, and none of them I liked. So GM1 colors, very nice. Check it out. It's a Leica branded lens. It's good. It's fun. I will probably keep it. I will probably keep it for family stuff. And yeah, Leica Q2 Mini. It would be a cool concept, but you know, who can afford a Leica? So let me know in the comment section if you played with Micro Four Thirds before. Maybe you have some suggestions for other options. I'm tired, and see you in the next video very soon. It looks so stupid. Look at this. Hey guys, I have a Leica Q2.